Hello everyone, welcome back to Bits and Bob's Divination. My name is Caitlin and today we're going to be doing a very slow, easygoing kind of reading with this more open-ended tarot reading for you today. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so welcome back my beautiful kindred spirits and anyone new who may be joining us here today. We're going to be doing a much calmer kind of reading, so this is a great one if you want to study at the same time or do something at the same time, or even just have it for a way in which you can fall asleep. But yeah, this is going to be very nourishing, very open-ended readings with a lot of ease, a lot of breaks, and a lot of time to really look into your messages. We're also going to be looking at different journal prompts as well. So this is going to be a lot of fun as well as very calming. So I would love to hear your feedback down below on this tarot sleepover. But yeah, if you want to check out more about what this channel is all about, then definitely feel free to subscribe or check out down below at my Instagram community, as you can see all of the different ways you can support this space there. I won't go too deeply into it here today as I want to keep it very short and simple, but I do have tarot readings that you can do for private readings or snail mail readings, and I also have lots of fun magical handmade goods that I do for magical purposes down below too, which all of that will be on my Instagram, which I'm on there every single day. So for each of the piles here today though, we have here for pile number 1 this scroll, and it has these little bees for washi tape with your own specific journal prompts, which I will be showing at the very end of your reading. For pile number 2 here, we have the washi tape scroll here with these very fun golden tones. So that's pile 2. And last but not least here, the pile number 3 here has a one-sided little bow here with all of these ancient looking words. So that's pile number 3. So as always, let's go ahead and take a deep cleansing breath together so you can really ground on your energy and see which one calls out to you. But I will say all of the piles definitely had a common theme, so you really can't go wrong. So let's go ahead and take that deep breath together. So there's no right or wrong way to choose your piles here. You can choose 1, 2, all 3 of the piles. You can flip-flop and change between them. Like I said, this is going to be a very relaxing reading, so feel free to get really settled and ready to go for them. All of the timestamps will be down below in the description, as well as within the chapter marks of this video. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to subscribe, like, or comment on this reading, I would really appreciate any feedback, as it's a little bit different from my typical stuff. But you can also check out the different offerings that I have down below, as well as on my Instagram. So let's go ahead and get started with pile number 1. Hello group 1. Today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently, as I mentioned in the intro. I'm recording this before the intro, so I'm not exactly sure what I said. We're going to be really chill with this one. I just really want to give you the information that is coming and seeking you right now, and to do it in a very gentle, very chill way. This is a great one to listen to while you're studying, or a really good one to just sort of take in the messages, see if there's certain things that run throughout the entire reading. And I'm even going to give you some journal prompts to work with at the end, which is what helped you choose these piles today. But yeah, we're going to be doing that using the charms. We're going to look into the watercolor affirmations, as well as several different oracle decks. And because I wanted this to be very much like a sleepover, very chill, very calm, I decided to also whip out both of the guidebooks here for the 2 decks that we're using for the Gentle Tarot and the Prairie Majesty Oracle, because I don't know about you, but whenever I am with my friends using tarot, I feel like there's such a stigma about using guidebooks, and I really want to erase that here today and just honestly make it really chill. So I've got water, I just had some pizza, took a shower, feeling really ready for this, and let's just dive in and see what you're getting here today. So let's see. Feel free as always to send your energy in, get cozy, this is the perfect one to get cozy. Grab a cup of tea, get yourself some food, something to study or munch on, or even get yourself just cozy. Like I said, this is a sleepover. Get yourself into some pajamas. I'm wearing just a big oversized t-shirt and some comfy pants because I'll be going to bed right after this. So if you want to get cozy, maybe even listen to this right before you sleep, then feel free to. And I don't know how long this one will be. It might end up being where we only pull 3 or 4 cards, or it might end up being a really big spread. I'm just going to play around with it. So let's go ahead and co-create this reading together. So feel free to send your energy in, and let's see what is coming in for group 1 here for this tarot sleepover. What is coming in for them right now? What is aligning with their energy? What do they need to know? What do they need to know? Okay, so we have the Emperor showing up here first, and I really want to take time to slow down and really digest these messages today versus just flying through the very first thing that I see. Immediately, though, I am getting this feeling of such warmth from this card, a feeling of sunbathing in the very, very early morning sun as it's coming up and rising. So I am getting this rebirth feeling, or just a rejuvenation kind of energy coming from the Emperor, which is really interesting because usually it's very structured, very kind of close-minded even, and this is very opening. So it's kind of opening your eyes to something, seeing something from a new point of view, and kind of warming up to something. So let's see what you might be warming up to. Group 1, what are you warming up to? What are you warming up to? Okay, so first off we have the 9 of Wands, which shows off this feeling again of guardedness. There is, like I said, the Emperor can be kind of close-minded, quite guarded at times, or even sort of looking for control in situations where it's very difficult to hold on to control. And the 9 of Wands, you can see they're kind of geared up for battle behind here, ready to pounce on something. And this is also in a night scene. So again, this is early morning when everything's warming up. You're warming up to something. You're opening your eyes to something. This is still kind of closed off to you. Something is very closed off. Whether your energy right now is just feeling very you want to control things or hold things in or keep things in line, something about that is shifting and changing here. So let's see a little bit more information. Group 1. Alright, and so we also have the 10 of Stones, which is, you can see the sun has now completely risen. It's at the highest point in the sky. So there really is this narrative that's coming through from all of your cards of coming from a place that's very guarded, very, I just keep seeing a box or a square, very sheltered, very perfect lines, perfect symmetry, perfect, it just feels like you want perfection in some way, or are trying to hold on to the idea of perfection and are really battling to keep that control. And the Emperor is giving us this warming up feeling, this feeling of changing that idea, still guarding yourself, still having boundaries, but there's something new that's coming in. And when you look at both of these figures here, they're both sort of doing, I don't think it's a downward dog, but it's some sort of pose where they're very much opening up their chest and opening themselves up to something in that space. And your chest is where you breathe. Your chest is where, dogs, if they don't like you, they're not going to show their chest, but they'll show their belly if they really like you. And if they don't, they're going to probably look like this mountain lion chilling behind here, very much protected and protective and on guard. So I feel like you're kind of letting your guard down, you're opening your eyes to something, you're warming up to new ideas, and allowing yourself also, the chickens remind me of the chickens that show up in the Celtic Lenormand deck, which showcases the idea of communication, of chit-chat, of chatter. So I do think not only are you opening yourself up and warming up to an idea, but maybe something that someone has someone else maybe is who you are warming up to, that you're communicating with, and that you're going through some sort of cycle there where you're very guarded, kind of by yourself, isolated, warming yourself to be in the company of others in a way that feels really comforting, and in a way that makes you feel that you can be vulnerable with someone enough to show your belly, enough to show those soft spots, to show those places that maybe you don't want people to normally see, or that are really quite difficult to open yourself to. And I'm even seeing like the little cat down here too. They're kind of chilling as well, kind of very comforted, very cozy. So there's still control here, right? They're still kind of lining up these stones, still trying to control the situation, but in a more open-minded feeling, literally open-minded there, with that hope that's showing up on the star on their forehead. So I really do see this branching out, warming up feeling. Like, those are the key words I'd say. You're warming up, opening your mind to something in order to really enjoy others' company, and to have them be able to enjoy your company as well in a way that feels less guarded. So those are the cards that I have so far, but like I said, we might be playing around with the guidebooks, but I feel like the one I really want to read on specifically for you is whatever we get here with the Prairie Majesty Oracle. So as I mentioned earlier, feel free to send your energy in, and we're gonna see what else is coming in. As always, do take your time to pause, look at the cards, see what comes through for you. Maybe specific plants have meaning to you. The eggs down here maybe have meaning to you. The rainbow, the colors, however it really resonates for you. Really nourishingly take those messages in and really like see what truly calls you to them. Kind of wonder and ask yourself, why does that color mean something to you? Why are you being drawn towards this specific element of the card? Because usually it's not by accident. So let's see, group 1. What do you have coming in from the Prairie Majesty Oracle here for a message of nourishment and understanding? I honestly feel this card out of all of them. So let's see. So it says here, the white-tailed deer. What called to me before I even say everything else here is there's the moon phases here, or the triple moon, or triple moon goddess even, some sort of cyclic nature that's happening down here. But it says here, trust, and it is the white-tailed deer, and it is, am I honoring my knowing? And with these, do feel free to use this also as part of your journaling prompts at the end of this. Like I said, I really want to come up with specific journaling prompts for each of your guys' piles to sort of take with you, and to give you something to actually utilize and use this as a tool moving forward, versus just kind of hearing the messages and having them kind of go in one ear, marinate for a second, and then kind of come out the other ear, so that you can really make true changes in your life, or really observe and understand those changes happening within you. So like I said, there's this cyclic nature happening here, and I was already feeling that with moving from night to day to midday, and something kind of becoming more apparent. Like, the more sunlight we get, the more we can see those details and see things more clearly. But just like we all know, the moon comes up and then the sun comes back. We trust in that cycle. We trust that when we go into a darker, deeper period in our time, in our life, we trust that there is going to be sun on the other side of it, that there is going to be good to excavate from it, that there is going to be a lesson there, or there is going to be something to really chew on at the end of the day. And so that's what I'm seeing here from trust, and also the idea of, like I said, kind of moving through that idea of wanting to control or hold things in a certain manner. And this is kind of telling you to just trust your own intuition, trust your own ears, your eyes, your senses, to not lead you astray. And that when you need to make those boundaries, that isn't a bad thing. And when you want to feel more vulnerable and open, and you trust that that is a path for you, then it's allowing yourself to have it as well. So that's what I'm getting here from trust. But as I said, it says, am I honoring my own knowing? So feel free to expand upon that. But I am, like I said, I want to read from the guidebook here for you because I always feel like there's something to munch on within these. So let's go ahead and see what there is for you. Yes, there it is. Okay, so I'll lift this up if you want to pause, but I will go ahead and read through it. So it says, the white-tailed deer. When white-tailed deer shows up, seek out a quiet spot for solitary introspection. If you can be outdoors in sunshine, all the better. And we were even talking about that with sunshine. With each breath, invite a sense of well-being to flood your body. Sink into your heart space for a check-in. What does your intuition say about today's circumstances? A graceful, beautiful herbivore, deer is equipped with extraordinary sight, sound, and smell. When she senses danger, she trusts herself and acts on it, exiting the situation through running, leaping, or swimming. She also raises her tail, exposing the white underside, to warn her herd. Even for bucks, with their impressive antlers, fighting predators is generally a last resort. When no threats are detected, deer exudes peace and contentment. As you explore what feels right to do next, invite deer energy to serve as a focal point. She is gazing at you with a loving expression, reminding you to claim and cultivate that space within you, where you know you are safe. You have access to a deeper spiritual knowing that goes beyond fight or flight response. Consider if any of the following approaches support your insights. Is there a way to diffuse the situation instead of escalating confrontation? Would walking away restore or promote your own peace? Alternatively, is the perceived threat an illusion that you can clear internally without giving up ground? Are there others who would benefit from hearing about the communications of your personal guidance? Draw on your spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical senses. Take ownership of deciding the next step. You are worthy of trusting yourself. So what I found really interesting while we were going through that was, like I said, the sunshine, the idea of really listening to your 5 or more senses, to also know when something is a threat in your life and is something to put those boundaries towards, and when there's things to open yourself up to, and maybe even, like they said, to are there others who would benefit from hearing about the communications of your personal guidance, or even just hearing what you have to say about how your intuition is feeling or how you're intuitively moving through the world. And not only that they would benefit from hearing that, but maybe you would benefit from being able to express your trust, to express your intuition, to express these gut feelings that you're having. And then the other thing too is it was also talking about the idea of it possibly being a perceived threat as an illusion. I think that's really interesting too with the 9 of Wands, because this could just be a bunch of sticks that just sort of look like a figure that could be a threat. But it also could just be our minds playing tricks on us. So is there something in your life that you're trying to put a lot of control and tighten down on that really in the light of day isn't actually a threat, but just something that we sometimes feel anxiety for or misinterpret our intuition and anxiety in those ways? So that's what I'm getting here from your cards so far. I'm going to go ahead and pull you one more and then some charms to see what comes through, but we're going to pull one from the Secret Garden deck. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm just going to go ahead and take this one. So we have self-care. That's also showing up here. Tend to your garden. And what I think is interesting is a lot of us in social media in this age, we talk about self-care or self-love sort of in the same frame of mind, and they definitely do connect, self-love and self-care, right? You want to have the love enough for yourself to care for yourself. But it doesn't always have to be in the ways that we tend to see on social media, by taking a bath or doing a face mask or having a spa day or whatever it may be. Self-care can also come from just, like they said, tend to your own garden. So what does that feel like for you? Maybe self-care is getting the dishes done, so it's off of your mind. Maybe self-care is getting back into that yoga practice, listening to your senses, meditating. Maybe that self-care is just creating something or journaling. So whatever that might be, it doesn't always have to be the same for everyone, and it can also be hard things that just kind of are good to get off your mind. So that's what I'm getting here from your cards. I do want to pull you some charms and letter tiles though, as well as an affirmation here. So if you are enjoying this reading so far, if you have found it useful, if you are enjoying this more softer, more open and fluid kind of reading, then definitely let me know in the comments down below, or by giving this video a like, or even sending in a tip at the Kindred tip jar. All of that goes back to the channel. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this, just really kind of going with the flow here, speaking quite quietly and calmly for you all. But let me know. Some of you I know might enjoy the very quick, snappy readings that I do too, so I'd love to hear your feedback. But let's see, group 1. Okay, so we have, interesting, so we have find the way to rekindle that fire inside you. And instead of like in a way that feels like this massive fire or a bonfire, it feels like just coming back to that warmth feeling, right? Warming yourself back up, warming yourself up to things that light you up in the day. And I think by kind of stuffing down our senses, not listening to our intuition or trusting our intuition, means that you're not trusting the senses around you, not trusting the sense to feel if this is warm, if this is cold, if you feel good about it, if it feels too hot, however it may be. And this can be just like physically, like, you know, this is hot, this is cold. But it can also be like, does someone feel cold to you? Does someone feel warm to you? Do these experiences actually give you warmth? And to really follow the things that are giving you warmth at this time. So let's also pull some letters. I didn't have too many, but we have G and E here that came out first, as well as the letter I and A. So a lot of vowels. I kind of got the idea of like gig, like you have a gig coming up or something like that. But this can also just be like, whenever I see vowels, it makes me think of singing as maybe like a self-care method for you, or of really opening and enunciating your words, because vowels give us that fluidity. Consonants are very, like I was talking about, very perfected, very chunky. When you take the vowels out, vowels give it the flow, give it the stream, give it the warmth. So that's what I'm getting here. G, I, E, and A. This can also be like Gaia is coming through for me. It can also be different initials, or kind of spark other things for you, but play around with those. I'm going to go ahead and take this mini mat that I made of my much larger mat, which today I decided to do a very soft one for the soft reading that we're doing here today. But I'm going to go ahead and cast a few charms here on the back side and see what comes through for you. I'm going to try to, in post and editing, really make this quite quiet for you in case any of you want to use this as a way to fall asleep. So let's go ahead and do that. So the ones that we got here, and I'll go ahead and zoom you in. It is the peace charm. We also got the feeling kind of cornered charm, which we were talking about earlier with boundaries and the idea of feeling kind of pinned up against something. So this is showcasing the idea that that is still there, but there's peace on its way in, and it's closer to the idea of trust. There's also a cycle that is about to be broken. So like I said, right now you've maybe been in this cycle of kind of listening to your intuition, but it not really aligning or giving you what you need, and you're kind of warming up to that. So I do see that that cycle is starting to change and shift for you. And then underneath here, we have the inner child charm, closer to that self-care. So it's making me think that some of the self-care that you might be doing is giving yourself an inner child date or reconnecting with your inner child in some way. It doesn't have to be your inner child, it can be your inner teen, it could be reconnecting with your younger adult. However it may feel for you, a version of yourself that you can give back some love and care to is also showing up here for your charms. So before we end your reading, I'm going to go ahead and write out some journal prompts for you and share those with you so that you can really use this as a tool moving forward and play around with these. So these are the journal prompts I've just typed up for you, some ideas to play around with. Definitely play around with these as much and explore as much as you'd like with these. You can change out words, don't let them limit you. But these are the ones that I've come up with for you, and I hope that they are useful to you. I definitely think if you take anything from this reading, if you don't even want to necessarily write or journal on these, is just to open yourself up to trust, to warming up to something and understanding yourself a little bit more when it comes to that idea of perfectionism or control, and where that is aligning and misaligning in your life. So those are all of your cards and charms here for this little chill, very calming, very open-ended kind of reading here with the slumber party, and I truly do hope you got something out of it. I'm going to go ahead and move on to group 2 now, but if you'd like to subscribe, support this channel, or check out the different ways that you can get snail mail readings or look into the magical things that I get up to, all of that will be down below, as well as on my Instagram. I'd love to learn more about each of you, to connect with you even further if that's something you're interested in. As I know a lot of you by name, I see a lot of you all the time on my Instagram stories, and I truly do love to really connect with you guys because it does help to make these readings even deeper, even more meaningful for you. So if you want to be able to do that, if you want to just send funny memes or whatever back to each other, or get advice and things with the impromptu readings that I do over there on my Instagram, that'll be down below. But yeah, like I said, feel free to subscribe, like, comment, all that fun stuff, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello group 2, welcome to this very lo-fi, very chill slumber party with tarot. I just really wanted this, and I'm going to try to be really calm and very open with this reading, very fluid with this reading, and we're also going to be doing some journaling prompts at the very end to make this much more of a more well-rounded tool for you to use. So even if you get nothing out of this reading, you can play around with those journal prompts at the end, or even just have them as food for thought. So like I said, this is going to be a slumber party in terms of like literally a slumber. So I'm going to talk very quietly, very chill, very with some like lo-fi music in the background, so that if you want to kind of drift off to this, use it as a sleeping tool, then definitely feel free to. And if you want to use it just as something to have in the background for studying, or to play around with while you listen to your own music or eat your dinner, have a cup of tea, you can play around with this however you wish. But yeah, we're going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations, as well as several different oracle decks. We're also going to be using the gentle tarot here today. And I also wanted to pull out the guidebooks, because I feel like a lot of tarot readers get a lot of flack for using the guidebooks, but these are full of so much deep, impactful, nourishing language and powerful phrases that I think are going to be really useful for us kind of coming up with journaling prompts, and also to open your mind to different ways of looking at these cards. So as always, I think that using the guidebooks is never a shameful thing to do. If you're just getting into tarot or into oracle, then please do use the guidebooks. They're absolutely wonderful resources, and I think that we shouldn't make it only our intuition. So let's go ahead and get started. like I said, feel free to get cozy. If you want to use this as a sleeping tool, then feel free to get all cozy with a blanket, get some water, tea, a nice snack, however you want to. Don't know how long these are going to be. They might be slightly longer because I'm going to allow more pauses and space for you to really look and think through this and allow more space to expand on your reading. But feel free to send your energy in, as always. It totally does make a difference. And we're going to get started. So what's coming through for group 2 here? What do they need to hear, to look at, to kind of have for food for thought or chew on today? I'm also feeling, I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. Let's see what we have here first. So first off, we have the Empress showing up here. It's one of my favorite cards in this entire deck. There's just something so gentle and calming and comforting that comes from this card. And then you also have here the Seven of Thunder, which reminds me of the last reading that I just did, where we went from the Emperor with another one with sort of a mountain lion going on in the background. So these definitely have a very much alignment to group 1. So if this doesn't fully align for you, definitely feel free to check out group 1. But I'm going to go ahead and pull out the one that I was feeling back here, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. Yes, the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so these are all of your cards. I'll pull them up so you can really see them. Like I said, I wanted this to be cozy, so I even used a very cozy mat here. But yeah, there's something about a cycle, and this is very much aligning with group 1, which I think is really interesting, but in a very different way, where this Seven of Thunder and this Wheel of Fortune are showcasing a cycle being broken, and that cycle that is being broken has something to do with possibly not being honest with yourself or honest with others in your life, not feeling like you can, and I don't mean this that you're lying to everyone or you're withholding information in a way that's sneaky or cunning or rude or upsetting, but sometimes we have to protect ourselves. Sometimes we hold and withhold information because it's a way of, as a safeguard to us, or we withhold ideas because we don't want to tell someone something that feels too radical or too different or too out of our norm. It makes me think that like you might be holding back pieces of yourself because you want to explore them for yourself. You want to see what those new things are that are coming in for you without the eyes of others on you. And I feel like you're coming into a new cycle. You're coming into a new version of yourself recently, and you're noticing it in very subtle ways. The Empress can showcase that rebirth, a rebirth of some sort. So I feel like you're really kind of coming into a new version of yourself. Maybe you're moving into adulthood, or maybe you're moving to uni, or maybe it's not even something that's physical that's happening in your life, but just in general you can feel it within your bones that you're changing, you're shifting, there's something new on the horizon for you. And maybe that's a little scary, a little nerve-wracking, or maybe you're even super excited about it, but the people in your life maybe are limiting you, pigeonholing you, or you have this, everybody has this idea of who we are, right? You guys probably see me and have looked at or have perceived me in some way that maybe isn't true to who I am, or I've maybe perceived you or other people in our life, right? There's people in your life who you don't have the full story of who they are, right? You just know this piece of them. They're your school friend, they're your work colleague, they're this, and you don't have the full picture. And I feel like you have the full picture here, right? And you see yourself in the full version of yourself, but other people aren't seeing all of it. And this isn't to say that you need to all of a sudden show everyone your full true colors or burst out in song or something. But it is that you can take more baby steps to show people a little bit more of who you are. Show them your real singing voice if you love to sing, but you only ever sing in the shower and you want to showcase that, this part of yourself. Or maybe you've always been a sportsy person, but you want to start all of a sudden taking up art, and that's out of your norm, it's out of their expectations of you, and that's going to be shifting and changing. So I think there's something in you that's changing and shifting behind the scenes that you want to explore before you have everyone else's eyes on it. And I think that's totally valid. I think if you needed to be reminded that that's valid, then this is definitely coming through to remind you that it's valid to take time to understand yourself without the prying eyes of others or the expectation of others in your mind. So that's what I'm getting here. The Empress is also showcasing this, all these little creatures all around, right? But I'm also seeing these little butterflies, and butterflies represent change. They represent transformation, right? And going into the chrysalis and doing your thing to change in some way. So you're definitely going through some sort of transition period. So let's go ahead and read. I want to read on the Seven of Thunder here. I think that's going to be really important for some of you. So let's see what it says here in the guidebook, because there might be specific things, specific words that are going to be really useful for you to carry along with you on your path. So I'll lift this up if you want to read it yourself, but let's go ahead and read it together. So the Seven of Thunder. I said it was a mountain lion, but apparently it's a lynx. The lynx looks back, taking a pause in their step, as if sensing something unbalanced behind them. The lightning bolt represents how attuned they are to their surroundings. The ability to perceive deception is essential for protecting our sacred space and for staying focused on our path. Sometimes deceit is not easy to see when it disguises itself with old narratives, traumas, or patterns from our past that can be difficult for us to discern. This card is about questioning authenticity and setting up boundaries to make sure we only allow deserving energies into our space. Wow, totally what has been aligning with your entire reading here. I love how they talked about too that the mountain lion, with all of the lightning here, they said that they're able to perceive it very quickly, and they are so attuned to their surroundings that they're very, very quick on their feet to notice that. So I feel like also when you're going through this change, you're more attuned to those changes than anyone else is going to be. And I think that if you've ever seen someone else change in your life, sometimes you don't notice it until you look at pictures of them from 3 or 4 years ago, and you're like, wow, that person really changed a lot. They've really gone through a lot. But they probably noticed it a lot more than you did. They were probably nitpicking themselves a lot more and being a lot harder on themselves. And I think this is a reminder also to be gentle with yourself and to remind you that other people are probably not perceiving you as deeply as you think, or looking as deeply as you think they are into who you are in these changes that are happening. Because if they feel subtle to you, then they're definitely subtle to others. So this is just a reminder that you have the space to play, to look a little bit deeper. So let's go ahead and look a little further. So we're going to look into the Prairie Majesty Oracle here and see what comes through for you. But if you are enjoying this reading, definitely be sure to give this video a like and let me know in the comments down below as we move through this reading what you're thinking, if you're enjoying this soft-spoken kind of tarot reading, if you'd like to see more of these in the future, or if it's just kind of comforting and fun. Feedback truly does go a long way. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what we've got here for you. Group 2. What's coming through for Group 2 right now for this change in them, this metamorphosis, this shift? What is coming through? Almost feels like strikes of lightning that are coming through the cards even, like they can't decide which one. See, just one card, please. Feeling this one. Okay, so we have protect. How can I safeguard what is sacred to me? And I'm pretty sure that came up even in your card here just a second ago that we were talking about, the Seven of Thunder. This card is about questioning authenticity and setting up boundaries to allow setting up boundaries to make sure we only allow deserving energies into our space. So how can you only allow the people who deserve your energy and deserve to know more about you into your space? And that's what I'm getting right off the bat. There's also lots of different symbolism that comes through with these cards, so definitely feel free to pause and really excavate those and take them in. You have here the meadowlark. How can I safeguard what is sacred to me? So that's definitely a journal prompt that you can play around with. And it says protect. So protection. protection offers us sort of a space in which, like I said, we can play and without the eyes of others sort of leaning into that. So protection for you, I think, is honestly really useful. In some ways, protecting ourselves, right? It also means that if they can't see in, we can't see out. And so it's making sure you don't protect yourself so far and move yourself so far and remove yourself so far from other people that are deserving of your energy or are deserving of learning more about you when you feel ready. Because if we distance ourselves so much from the world to give ourselves that space, sometimes we can lose ourselves within that. So it's kind of finding that healthy balance is what I'm getting here. And that balance is coming through with the two elemental symbols of air and earth. Air being able to speak your truth, and earth feeling that protection. So when you feel ready to speak your truth about the things that are changing in you, or maybe have already changed and you're just ready to evolve into that next step, or ready to be real with the world and authentic in that way, it's allowing yourself to speak to those who are worthy of your time and your energy, who are worthy of knowing these shifts and changes, and not allowing the people in who are going to exploit them, judge them, shame them, because those are not the people who are here to really safeguard and protect who you are and really be there and real with you. So that's what I'm getting here from Meadowlark. But let's look a little bit further. So now we're going to go ahead and pull you one of these cards. So group 2. What else is coming through for group 2 in our little tarot sleepover here? So we have patience. Wait for the fruit to ripen. I really like that. It even came up closer to this Wheel of Fortune, and like I said, it's a transition that you're in. It's not a quick snap change. It's very subtle in small ways. Like I said, sometimes it takes 3 years for someone to notice those changes in us, to really even for us to notice that we were changing until we have the hindsight to look at it. So there is something about giving yourself more patience, giving yourself more ease, more time, more exploration, and play. So that's what I'm getting here, and it also feels like it's going to be very nutritious in like a energetic sense for you to be more patient with yourself. And I think that patience comes from allowing yourself to have a space in which you can carve out to explore. So that's what I'm getting here from patience. But let's go ahead and pull you a watercolor affirmation, and then we'll move on to your charms, and I'll also pull a couple of letter tiles for you. So group 2. All right, so we have 2 of them. Interesting. You got honesty is the best policy, as well as find, seek, and connect. So I don't think that you have to safeguard yourself from everyone, right? You can be honest with other people, even if you're still in the midst of the transition or transformation or the shift in yourself, that you're allowed to talk to those who you really do feel safe with, that you do feel comforted by, that you do feel authentic with. And seek those people out. Maybe that's also what's shifting and changing in you, is to seek those people out and to seek where that comes from. So that's what I'm getting here from your cards. Let's go ahead and move on to those letter tiles. So in case anyone is sleeping though, I'm going to try to really bring down the volume for this, but we're going to be looking at these for any names, dates, places, or oracle messages coming through. So you have the letter C and I. I don't know why CIA popped in my mind, but there's that. We have C, I, U, and A. CIA even showed up. Very similar to group 1 again, in that there's one consonant and several vowels, and especially since you got a bird here, and I even felt called to these little birds here on the back of this Empress, all about that rebirth and that inner knowing and trusting in yourself and this nourishment that's coming here. There's sort of like this motherly figure almost coming in from this Empress card. What I'm getting here is that might be either an initial that's bringing you back to these, or the idea that you really want to sing your song and really sing and voice your opinions and voice who you are to the world. But like birds, not all birds can talk with other species of birds. So it's, again, only being able to create that direct communication, that honest communication with those who deserve it, or those who can translate and understand you in that way. So that's what I'm getting here from the vowels. But yeah, we have C, I, U, and A, in case that resonates for you in any way. But we're also going to pull those charms. So I have this little mini charm mat, but I'm going to use the back side here to just kind of open-endedly see what comes through. So as always, you can send your energy into these to get those little final messages, and then we'll go into your journal prompts. So let's see here, group 2. Okay, quite a few here. We even got another letter that showed up. So on the letter C, we have the bottle tap charm, which usually showcases something like coming to light, right? It's if you're opening a can and that you pull the tap, then that's when all of the bubbles escape and all the pressurized air. So this is letting go of that pressure with someone maybe who starts with the letter C. We also have the letter J showing up here in case that resonates in some way. And also the number 6. We'll zoom you in though so you can see a little bit closer. So we do have the caution hat showing up here, and it's not the caution hat where it's thrown to the wind, like throwing caution to the wind. It's putting that caution hat on. So there is a reason to be cautious. There is a reason why you're wanting to protect your energy. It's not coming from nowhere. And sometimes it's just being affirmed in that it's okay to need to protect our energy sometimes, to give ourselves and carve out that space. We also have the more of that Empress energy showing up here with that springtime energy of the bunny or the rabbit, a quickening as well. So this process may be quickening, that metamorphosis may be quickening in you as you notice it and make more changes. There's something about being more creative. We also have the making memories charm too. So there's also just in general allowing yourself to take time to really make memories, or again, it's where you only see those pictures in hindsight that you realize how much change is happening. So allowing yourself to have those changes happen as they need to. There's a lot of growth happening here, growth that's going to give you more space to be yourself without feeling so black and down in your heart center. So that's coming in here too. And then there's also the I always think of this as like it's a little lobster claw, and so it feels like someone's kind of got their claw in on you and is kind of trying to stay in your life or trying to keep on you. And that's the reason why you maybe need to create those boundaries and create those spaces to protect yourself from those who don't deserve your energy anymore and are creating these holes in your heart, are creating this lack of growth in there. So that's what I'm seeing from your charms, but I am going to go ahead and pull out some nourishing and useful journal prompts. So I'm going to go ahead and type those up for you here now. Alright, so these are the typed up messages that I decided on for you. So it says, how can I safeguard what is sacred to me? What does your metamorphosis look like in colors, words, shapes, aesthetics? If you could draw it out or write it down into 3 words or however you wish to do it, what would it look like? And how can you be more patient in your own growth? How can you give yourself a little bit more ease in allowing yourself to grow in a more patient way? So those are the ones that I have here, but I don't want them to be limited by what I have here, so you can expand upon them, play around with them, switch around words and see what comes through for you. but those are the ones that I have here for you today. I truly do hope you enjoyed this more lo-fi, very chill, I would hope, very calming kind of reading in comparison to my very quick Spitfire readings. But do let me know in the comments down below how it went for you and what you got out of this. And if you want to connect even further in this space, then definitely feel free to subscribe or give this video a like. You can check out my Instagram community down below as well. I know so many of you by name and talk to a lot of you over there. We really connect a lot deeper on these subjects, and I do a lot of impromptu and fun other kinds of things over there for not only the offerings that I provide for snail mail readings and magical papers, but also just in connecting with you all. So if you want to be able to continue this tarot slumber party over there, then definitely feel free to check it all out down below. But I truly do hope you enjoyed this reading. Feedback is super important and helpful and useful, so thank you to everyone who has sent in any feedback about this and these types of readings. And if you want to also just let me know what you'd like to see next, I'd love to hear. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to group 3. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. Hello group 3, I hope you have found your way very easily and comforted to this pile here today. As I mentioned in the intro, this is going to be a very lo-fi, very chill kind of reading. It's one that you could drift off to if you'd like. You can get a cozy blanket, grab yourself a cup of tea. You could use this to relax and study with, or to have in the background, however you wish, but it's going to be very chill, soft-spoken. We're also going to be using the charms, the watercolor affirmations, as well as several different oracle decks. Everything will be down below as always, and we're going to be using the Gentle Tarot today. And I also just wanted to utilize and play around with the guidebooks here today, because whenever I'm around friends and we're hanging out and doing tarot together, the guidebooks are super useful and very fun and great tools that I think get so much flack and so much shame to readers for utilizing, but these are full of nourishing, wonderful information, and I think that it's a shame if we don't utilize them. So I'm going to use those today, and I always think that there's specific words and things that could be really useful for the journal prompts that we're going to be playing around with here at the end, because I really want this to be a tool that you can utilize even after the reading, because I know from my own experience, sometimes I hear all the messages, I take them in for a second, and then they just kind of go out the other ear, and I don't really fully take the time to fully expand upon them. So I want to give you guys some journal prompts at the end to play around with. But your feedback would be super useful with this reading if you like the soft-spoken, if you want to do more readings like this. Maybe even get a mic one day and do some fun soft-spoken ASMR readings or something like that. Anything you guys have and you would like to cook up on this channel, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So let's see. We're going to look for you, group 3. Feel free as always to send your energy in. It really does make a difference. But let's see what's coming in for you, group 3. What messages of nourishment are coming through for you of exploration, of play, whatever needs to come through for you in this moment, for you, group 3. So here we are first with the Harvest of Thunder. I really want to look into the details of these cards and give you the time also to really take in these cards, give a little bit more space and ease to this reading. So obviously immediately I'm just seeing like such a beautiful warming space to chill out in a meadow. There's this feeling of being able to really meditate on your ideas. The Harvest of Thunder, thunder representing our ideas, our thoughts, the way that we communicate with other people. So there's something about marinating on that, marinating on your ideas and really meditating on them. That's what I'm getting here right off the bat, but let's see a little bit further. So group 3, what else is coming through here for you, group 3? For these nourishing ideas that you're kind of marinating on. Alright, so we have the 10 of Wands. And then kind of in juxtaposition, very differently, we have the Magician here. They look like very similar figures. They feel like different versions of you. One that's carrying a very large weight on their shoulders, or just kind of trying to burn at both ends, sort of. And then I also am seeing the Magician, which has a very small fire, like something's just beginning. So I think what you're marinating on is something that you want to grow into something much bigger and expand upon. And I think you're trying to understand and marinate on how. For whatever reason, I feel called to pull one more. So I'm going to pull one more for you. See what, maybe we could get some more information on what those ideas might be. So I also have the Hierophant here, which isn't honestly giving us a lot more. The Hierophant usually showcases to look towards past wisdom. So I would say something to marinate on at this time, and what you might be looking into with that meadow, and I'll hold the Hierophant up here in case you want to look a little bit further. These are very like ancient birds, as far as I remember from the guidebook. They're birds that have been in this place for a very long time, up in Alaska, and the idea is that they have a lot of wisdom, a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge that they can pass on. And I think what you're marinating on is your own personal knowledge and how that can be kindling for you to grow what you want to grow. This could be in your business. This could be something you're growing in your own life, something you're marinating on. I don't know why I feel very called to the word marinating, but the idea that you're sort of sitting and really listening to the knowledge from yourself. So I would say, outside of like even the journaling prompts beyond this reading, is that if you want to see and seek out ways in which you can move from this Magician where you're just starting to get this kindling moving and making it into this fire that can really grow and flourish and not necessarily get out of control, right? You're still really holding on to it. You've got control over it, but it definitely is going to grow and expand to something much bigger than maybe you were expecting. But the way to even get to that point, to even start having it grow to that stage, is to possibly start looking at past versions of yourself and the things that you've done in the past, and how those could be really good marking points or markers for you to rehash up and use again. Right? Sometimes we forget to go back to the past and reuse the tools we've done before. We always feel like we need to do something new or innovate something new. But you could just go back and talk to someone who you know has really good experience, someone who's done it before in your family and your friends, someone you know who has experience already in the field or the thing that you're trying to get into. Or even if you've already had that past experience, it's just reconnecting with that. So maybe that's through your own personal journals, or maybe it's through looking at old photos, digging back through past like folders that you have under your bed or tucked away in like the attic or something. I just feel like there's something that you can rehash back up and reuse it and become more resourceful with some of that information. So that's what I'm getting here, this feeling of like moving and bridging something. There is this bridge here as well, right? So it's enlightening the idea that you're starting with here so that it can become kindling that grows into the fire and can become something much bigger. But you have to do that by looking at the past or looking at people who have past experience in the thing that you're wanting to grow. So with all of that, I'm going to go ahead and move this one over here. And we're going to pull you a Prairie Majesty card and see what it has to say. We might be reading from the guidebook with this one. But let's see here. Group 3. What do you have coming through Group 3 for your message here today? To help get this fire really going and boiling and moving. Really letting it not wreak havoc, but it just feels like it's going to be really big, whatever you are growing. So let's see what just flew over here. So we have the Emerge. What am I opening into? Interesting too that I keep talking about kindling, but not necessarily about the like the wood of the fire or the things that you're burning with it, but more that your kindling comes from words, from communication, from old journals, from written communication even. And what we have right at the very center of this is the idea of the air element coming through right here. So there is something about the air element being a really big part of this, thunder being a part of that. So I really do think to get this fire growing, it has to be within that airy space, that space of that, being able to use your windpipes, using your voice, using the power that comes from, blowing on that kindling to really get it going. And that the blow is really just you kind of reconnecting and rekindling, like I said, that experience and those ideas. And that comes from the idea of emerging. So I do think that the idea of emerging and kind of coming into yourself has come through with all three of the piles here today. That's definitely a big theme of like transformation, metamorphosis, emergence. For you, it's emerge. So we have here Eastern Tiger Swallowtail, emerge. We have the symbol of the air element, and it says, "What am I opening into?" So that can be one of your journal prompts. I'll probably put them in there. It's something to kind of marinate on, as we were speaking about earlier. But let's go ahead and read what the guidebook has to say to get a little bit further into it. So let's see. It's in the do suit, which is all about active undertaking with internal or external places to offer suggestions of how to do something. So let's see. So it says here, and I'll put this up here in case you want to pause, but it says, Eastern Tiger Swallowtail. When the sun pops up over the horizon, night becomes day in an instant. In any transition, the tipping point inevitably arrives, bringing momentum that propels the shift. It's interesting, too, that we're going from a place of dark and night, and immediately that light comes in from that kindling, from that blow, from getting things moving, and it's just going to continue to ignite and ignite. So like I said, that tipping point inevitably arrives, bringing momentum that propels the shift. Regardless of how long the process felt, the crossover really does happen. What if we could slow down and pinpoint the exact moment of change? What would it feel like? The Eastern Tiger Swallowtail sails onto the nearby grass. You may already know the answer to that question. Excitement, nervousness, anticipation, hope, vulnerability, fear, apprehension, and curiosity may all flutter inside. It may feel like you've been through several transitions already, only to wait again. Caterpillars experience a similar process. Once enclosed, hatching may be anywhere from weeks to months away. Some even overwinter until the spring. Likewise, personal metamorphosis and emergence are up to each individual. Is now your time to burst through into fresh form of being? This moment is both fragile and fierce. Your wings may be wet, you might be uncertain. Whatever you're feeling is natural and perfect for your own rebirth. Just don't get stuck here. Consider the connection between the bright yellow of Swallowtail's wings and your solar plexus, home to your personal power. Flip the switch to your inner generator. Visualize yourself expanding and filling up with a golden glow that dries your wings. As you begin to flap, however tentative, can you feel your strength? You're ready. You're on the other side. You've got the wings to carry you wherever you choose. Wow, that felt so powerful. I always feel super refreshed whenever I read through that guidebook, and also it just reminds me of how powerful the words are from the writing in this book that Kara did. But yeah, the idea also that, like I said, with experience that you're trying to seek out right now, there could also be that your emergence doesn't have to happen so quickly. We were talking about that idea of marinating and having to kind of wait that process out. So there is a bit of patience here, there is a bit of ease here, which again reminds me of pile 2. There's a lot of connection between all 3 piles threading through, so I wouldn't be surprised if you felt called to all 3 of them or multiples. But yeah, there is this feeling of emergence and the idea that you can't always pinpoint when you tipped over to that other side until sometimes in hindsight, but also the idea that once we flick on that light, it's really hard to extinguish it. So we might as well follow where it takes us, the curiosity of it, the nervousness, the excitement that builds up. So that's what I'm really seeing here, is to not worry about, is it going to get out of control, but rather, is it something that you're going to allow yourself to have? So that's what I'm seeing here from just emergence, but let's go ahead and look a little bit further. But if you have been enjoying this reading so far, definitely let me know in the comments down below. I really do mean it when I say that feedback is super helpful. I love to hear your thoughts, I truly do, and I also just find it really helpful to know if these types of readings are useful to you, if you like the soft-spoken, if ASMR readings in the future would be something you'd like to see. Anything like that, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also just by giving this video a like or checking out the Kindred tip jar. All of those are great ways to support this space. But let's see what's coming through for you from this little mighty deck. So we have the wallflower. Look for the crack in the concrete to find your way out. I find that interesting because you might be feeling like they were talking about, even with this emergence, that it's such a vulnerable process that sometimes we feel like we don't necessarily want to get out of it, that we kind of want to stay stuck there or to stay where it's been comfortable, right? Even though the fire is not huge, at least you know what to expect. Even though the fire isn't burning bright enough to fully see your surroundings, it's a little bit of something, right? And we can get comfortable in that. And I think you crave more. And the wallflower is telling you to look in the crack in the concrete to find your way out. So if you find yourself getting stuck there, it's about looking for that experience, looking for those new ideas, and really seeking out new spaces in your environment to play around with, to explore, to experiment in, and seeing where that takes you as well, to not get pigeonholed into it. So I'm going to pull you an affirmation, and then we'll do your letter tiles and charms. And then we'll also draw up those last little bits here to look into those journal prompts for you. But let's see here, group 3. So it says it's a marathon, not a race. So I definitely think that this transition is not something that's going to happen overnight, even though, like we said, there's that flick of a switch. That it still takes a while to get to the top of the roller coaster before you go down. Yes, there is a pinnacle, but that shift still might take a little while. It's not really like a straight shot mountain. It's more of a rolling hill. So it's funny that you got that. It's not a marathon. It's a marathon, not a race. So that's what I'm getting here. There's also a lot of that really bright green. So that might be also resonating with you in some way. So I'm going to try to keep this quiet in case any of you decided to utilize this as a way of studying or really chilling out in some way. But we're going to look into any letter tiles and charms coming through for you. The letter tiles are going to give us names, dates, initials, places, oracle messages. So let's see. Alright, so first off, we've got a lot of vowels which have been coming through with all of the piles. So we have O and I. We also have the letter P, I, and R. So just seeing pi in general made me think of like the mathematical version of pi, and the idea of like using pi to understand a circle and things like that with diameter and everything and circumference. And I just feel like, again, it's a new cycle that you're going into in some way, a cyclical kind of energy or cyclical energy of the idea of a pie, or also just that you don't have all the pieces. Whenever we think of a pie, right, once you cut out different pieces, you don't have them all, but then they all fit together in the end. So there is something about puzzle piecing something together, almost like you're investing investigating and to play around with that investigation. So that's what I have here. There also is the idea that like when you're looking out and seeking out this information, not to pry it out of someone, to be gentle and understanding with other people too, and compassionate about their own experience, especially if it may not have been always the easiest for them and they maybe don't feel as comfortable to do so. But that's what I'm getting here with P, I, O, and R. But to finish off your reading, we're going to go ahead and use this little mini mat that I have and use the back side of it to pull some charms for you. So feel free to send your energy in, and then we'll do your journal prompts. So here we go, group 3. Okay, a few repeats, but not too many here. Let's see here. So the charms that we've got here, one of the repeats from the previous pile, in case you watched both, is the idea of making memories whenever I see the camera, but it also can tell you a lot about looking back at old memories, like I said, looking back in hindsight, seeing your growth, seeing experiences you've done in the past and reusing, rehashing, reframing them, compositing them. The idea of the camera is also making me think like to the eye of the beholder and how that can change and reframe your process and seeing from a new point of view, and a new point of view that's quite unique to either you or unique to others, and that's why it's so useful to talk to others or reconnect with a past version of yourself, because we have the wildflowers here, which are quite wild and free and experiment quite freely. We have the whenever I see this one, it always just makes me think of like I said, mathematical geometry. So that geometry element is coming through quite heavily. So there is this logic kind of energy to this, of a set process that could be really useful to you too, and following a set process that maybe someone's done before and aligns with you. Here we have the jump ring charms. This is about kind of jumping forward, but feeling a little bit weighed back still. So again, still missing information. And another one showcasing that idea of feeling kind of weighed back, because this I always think of like a ball and chain, kind of feeling weighed down in some way. But you do have the key. So the key does showcase an opportunity. Whenever you see a key show up, it's an opportunity or showcasing that you have new information that you can play around with. And this is also the safety key. So you feel safe to open up or have other people open up. So again, that goes both ways, just because you're asking for that help from that Hierophant energy, from a teacher, from a mentor, from someone who you feel familiar with. Even if you're close friends or they're in your family, it's still important to be compassionate to the things that they safeguard, and that you don't pry that information out of them. But that opportunity is still there and is being presented. And then we have the mistletoe charm. So mistletoe is also something that can grow in the winter, right? It's something that can grow on trees, and they kind of sometimes leech off of trees, but whenever I see this mistletoe show up, it is the idea that you can continue to grow even in a place that isn't always ideal for your growth right now. So it could be that you're again moving into something, but it's going to take some time to get there. It's more of a rolling hill that you're kind of climbing up and gently going back over than a giant mountain that you have to climb. But in that takes a little bit of a longer process, and it's more subtle and less defined. So that's what I'm getting here from your charms, but I'm going to go ahead and type you up some journal prompts to end off your reading. So these are the journal prompts I just typed up for you, and definitely don't feel limited by the language I use here, by the words I use here. You're welcome to fiddle around with them, play around, explore them, and expand upon them however you wish. You can use this far beyond journaling as well in your own magical practice or however you'd like. But it says, 1, what am I opening into and why? 2, where could you look to seek out wisdom? And 3, How could you reframe your situation to gain a new perspective, insights, and understanding? So feel free to marinate on these and see how they really work into your life right now and how you can integrate them for better understanding. And I truly do hope you found this reading useful and that it was helpful and calming as we had this little cushioned, fun kind of reading. I really enjoyed it, just kind of chilling out with you all before I go to bed here soon. So for me, it was really calming, and I hope it was for you too. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to let me know in the comments down below how this did resonate for you or any other feedback, I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can also give this video a like or check out the Kindred tip jar. Everything that goes in there comes straight back to the channel. And also you can subscribe if you'd like to be a part of this Kindred space even further, as I put out new readings every single Monday. And you can also check out my Instagram community down below, as I know and have met so many of you through there, met you by name. We send memes back to each other. There's a lot of fun communication over there and ways in which we can expand upon these readings. So if you want to join in on the fun there, that'll be down below alongside all my offerings to really support this space and support you through the snail mail readings that I do and the other fun offerings for magical related things. Right now I'm doing Maybon paper for spells and rituals. But yeah, all of that will be down below. I truly do hope you got something out of this reading, even if it was just a word or a theme that could be useful to you, or just to give yourself a place to calm down and chill here with me. So I truly do hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!